Good morning, everybody. James O here. I'm in Dallas, Texas. I have a very unusual Saturday naturalization interview. I have to go to the immigration service here in about an hour, and I'm sitting here at the airport charging my laptop. I thought I might shoot this video, see how everybody's doing, see if anybody had any questions. We had a good presentation at the mosque last night, answered a lot of questions. We'll be posting the audio of that event on our podcast, the Muslim Immigration Show, pretty soon. But in the meantime, if anyone had any immigration questions, I thought I'd talk a little bit about the decision that came out of the court. Hey, Joey, good morning, my friend. Thought we'd talk a little bit about the ruling from the judge in Washington State yesterday. And it's a pretty exciting order. So the states of Washington and Minnesota filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration seeking to halt the implementation of his executive order dealing with immigrants and from the 7 banned countries. And so, hey Bob, how's everybody doing? So late yesterday, around 8 o'clock, the judge issued an order that said that the 90-day ban for people from those countries was not going to be into effect, and the judge made it a nationwide ban on the ban. So how that's going to play out, we don't know. One thing to keep in mind is that this was only a temporary restraining order situation. So this is not a overall decision on the merits. This is just the judge declaring that in order to keep the status quo and to prevent irreparable harm to people from those 7 countries, that he was going to stop the implementation of Section 3C of the executive order, and that's the part related to the ban for the people from the 7 predominantly Muslim countries. So it's a good victory. It's a small victory, and it's especially important because yesterday the temporary restraining order in Boston was ended. So the judge in Boston decided not to renew that. And so now we have an order from Washington in which the government tried to get the judge to limit it to only those people who are from Washington and Minnesota, but the judge declined to do that. And he said that because of the long reach of immigration law, sorry about this microphone, I should have sat somewhere else. We don't care about gate number 12. Because citizenship has to be uniformly applied, the government argued that they should only apply the ruling to people in Minnesota and Washington. The judge said that made no sense. Another thing to keep in mind about the decision is that it was issued by a judge who was appointed by George W. Bush. So I think that really goes to demonstrate that these positions of the Trump administration are really outside the mainstream, and that mainstream Republicans and people who understand how the law works can quickly see that the way this law or the executive order was adopted and implemented was not proper. How long this is going to stay in effect, the judge has directed the parties to continue briefing and to set it for hearing for a permanent injunction. So they have a great jurisdiction. They filed it in the right circuit. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals is the most liberal court of appeals in the country. And so we really think that's going to help. This is a good place to litigate this issue. How it's going to apply with the government agencies is yet to be determined. There's no immediate appeal of this that's taking place. They're just going to argue about the permanent injunction, and that is whether the judge should permanently enjoin the federal government from implementing the executive order. When that is decided, I imagine it'll go up on appeal and it'll wind its way through the courts. But just like with President Obama's deferred action for parents of Americans, the DACA expansion and DAPA, we could see a situation where the case is put on hold until it reaches the Supreme Court. Of course, by that time, there'll be a 9th Supreme Court justice who will probably be Republican, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But that's the latest for now. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm heading off to immigration now. I'm sorry I'm going to miss the rally today. If you guys are interested in supporting the rights of Muslims and Americans who love Muslims, we hope that you make it down to that rally at 1 o'clock down at the federal courthouse. Thanks for all the love. See you all later. Peace out.